Okay, let's unpack this today. Because we have all been there. You spend years, maybe decades even, learning a language.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You memorize the vocabulary lists, you nail the grammar tables, you know your past perfect from your present continuous. You feel confident.
You feel ready.
Right, you feel completely ready. And then you walk into a room full of native speakers, or you turn on a movie, or you just open a casual email, and suddenly it is like they are speaking a completely different code.
It's terrifying.
It really is. I mean, you know the words given up, but give up throws you. Running out. But run out confuses you entirely.
It is the ultimate curveball of the English language.
Yeah.
You were talking about phrasal verbs, the dark matter of English.
The dark matter. Yes, that is exactly what it feels like. It is invisible, but it holds absolutely everything together. I am talking about phrasal verbs, the bane of every learner's existence, and frankly, the secret sauce of fluency. Because today, for this deep dive, we are doing something a little different.
We're going under the hood.
Exactly. We aren't just looking at a topic. We are looking at the machinery of English itself. We have got this massive, comprehensive compendium in front of us. It's literally a PDF file titled Complete Phrasal Verbs List. And it is huge.
It's a hefty document. I mean, hundreds upon hundreds of entries.
Right. It contains hundreds of these unique verb preposition combinations.
You are right to call it machinery. If you think of English vocabulary, you know, the Latin words, the formal words, as the bricks of a house. Phrasal verbs are the mortar. They hold the conversation together. They provide the texture, the nuance, and the emotional color. Without them, English is just a pile of bricks.
But they are so frustratingly illogical. And that is the mission for today's deep dive. We are going to try and find the logic in the chaos. Because literal translation just fails here, completely fails.
It falls flat on its face.
It does. I mean, think about it. You can know the word give, right? To hand something over. And you can know the word up, as in look up at the sky. But you put them together into give up, and suddenly you are surrendering. You aren't handing the sky to anyone. You are waving a white flag. Why?
That is the million-dollar question. And that is why this deep dive matters for you. If you rely on literal translation, you will not only be confused, you might actually misunderstand the entire situation. Phrasal verbs are the heartbeat of natural conversational English.
They really are.
They are how native speakers actually talk, as opposed to the textbook robots we often sound like when we are first learning a language. But to your point about logic, there is often a hidden logic, a sort of cognitive geometry, if you look close enough.
Cognitive geometry. I like that. We want to help you, the listener, stop sounding like a robot and start seeing that geometry. But looking at this source material, this list is just overwhelming. It goes from A to Z, and there are thousands of entries. If we just read this list, we would be here for a week, and it would be drier than a dictionary in the desert.
And we would put everyone to sleep. The brain doesn't learn by memorizing a phone book. It learns through context, story, and feeling.
Exactly. So we have done the heavy lifting for you. We have filtered this massive list into what we are calling survival stacks. We have grouped the most essential, the most vivid, and the most surprising verbs from the text into themes.
It's a great way to break it down.
We've got a productivity stack for getting work done, a conflict stack for when things go wrong, a section on relationships, and of course, the weird stuff, the slang that makes no sense until you hear it.
I like that approach a lot. Grouping them by context is the only way to really internalize them. Otherwise, it is just random noise. We need to build a narrative around these words.
Yep. Before we jump into the deep analysis of the cognitive geometry, we want to do something special today. Since we are both English teachers at heart, we want to make sure everyone is following along.
Even the beginners.
Exactly. So for 5 specific verbs today, we're going to slow down and use the comprehensible input method. We're going to explain them at a very basic A1 level so you can really hear the core meaning before we analyze the advanced linguistics.
It's a great exercise. Sometimes breaking things down to their simplest parts reveals the most about them.
So are you ready to get to work?
Let's dive in.
All right, let's start with our first stack, the productivity stack. These are the verbs you need when you are getting things done, making progress, or finishing tasks. But I don't want to just list them. I want to picture a scenario. Imagine a high-stakes project. The deadline is tight. The team is very tired.
Okay, I am picturing a conference room. Stale coffee, ties loosened, whiteboards full of scribbles.
Perfect. And in this room, you need a verb that describes the act of creating an agreement out of nothing. I found one in the source that just sounds heavy. It sounds industrial. The verb is hammer out.
Ah, yes. Hammer out. This is a heavyweight verb.
Now, this is one of our special focus verbs, so let's slow down for our A1 learners. The phrasal verb we will study now is hammer out.
To hammer out means to talk and make a plan together. It is hard work. You talk until you agree.
We have a problem with the new house.
Yes, the price is too high.
We need to hammer out a new price with the seller.
Let's sit down and hammer out the details today.
So hammer out means to talk hard and fix a problem.
Right. You agree on a plan.
Okay, stepping back into our deep dive analysis now. The definition in our source is negotiate and reach an agreement. And the example they give is they hammered out their differences and got the contract signed. Now, I want to challenge this. Why hammer? Why not just discuss? Why not iron out?
This is where visualization helps so much. Think about the imagery of a hammer. It implies hard work. It implies noise. It implies force. You don't hammer something fragile. You hammer metal. You forge steel.
So it's tough.
Yes. Ironing out implies you already have the fabric, the agreement, and there are just a few little wrinkles to smooth. It is gentle.
Right, ironing out the details is for the very end of the process.
Exactly. But hammering out, that is creation. You are taking raw, resistant material, like two opposing viewpoints, and you are pounding them into shape. Bang, bang, bang. It suggests that the negotiation was difficult, there was resistance, it wasn't a polite chat over tea, it was a session in the workshop.
So if I say, we hammered out a deal, I am telling you a story. I'm telling you it was hard.
You are. You are saying, we thought for this. It took sweat. It took noise. And because of that, the resulting agreement feels solid. It is like wrought iron. It has been tested. It is not going to break easily.
Which that makes it so much more memorable. You can almost hear the noise of the negotiation. Okay, keeping with this intense work vibe, we have a pair of verbs here in the stack that seem similar, but I feel like there is a nuance we need to catch. The first one is knuckle down.
A classic. Knuckle down.
The definition here is make a great effort. The example is, I've got my exams next week, I'd better knuckle down.
Right. And often you hear this synonymous with buckle down, which is also in the text. Buckle down is defined as start working hard, apply yourself. For example, we had to buckle down and study for the exam. They are almost interchangeable.
Okay, so knuckle down and buckle down mean to start working hard. But then I saw this other one in the list, and it paints such a funny picture. Beaver away.
Yes, beaver away.
The definition is work hard. The example, she's beavering away before her exams. So we have knuckle down and beaver away. Are they the same? Can I say I need to beaver away now?
You could, but it sounds a bit odd. This is where you move from intermediate to advanced understanding. Knuckle down implies a shift in focus. It is a pivot point. You were fooling around, you were procrastinating, playing on your phone, and now boom, you knuckle down.
Yeah.
You get serious. It is the moment of starting the hard work.
I see. So knuckle down is the start line.
Correct. Imagine putting your knuckles on the desk to lean in and read the paper. You are gauging your posture. Whereas beaver away, think about the animal, the beaver.
I am picturing a dam builder.
Exactly. A beaver is constantly moving, constantly chewing, constantly working. Beavering away implies a continuous state of busyness. It is durational. You wouldn't usually use it as a command to start beavering away. You would observe someone else. You would look through the window and say, look at her. She's been beavering away at that project for hours.
That is a great distinction. Knuckle down is the start. Beavering away is the process. It is funny because beavering sounds almost cute, but it implies really intense, maybe even tedious work.
It does. It implies you are head down, focused on the details, just keeping at it.
Yeah.
It is not necessarily heroic work like hammering out a deal. It is industrious work.
Okay, so let's check the narrative. We entered the room, we hammered out the difficult parts of the contract, then we knuckled down to write the details. We spent all afternoon beavering away at the fine print. Now the day is over, we need to finish. The verb for that in our text is wrap up.
Wrap up. Very common in business contexts.
And this is another one of our focus verbs for the A1 students listening. Let's shift gears. The phrasal verb we will study now is wrap up.
Wrap up means to finish something. When you wrap up, you stop working because it is done.
Is the English class over?
Yes, it is time to wrap up the lesson.
Okay, I will close my book and wrap up my notes.
Good. We will wrap up and go home.
So wrap up means to finish your work and get ready to stop.
Yes, it means the end.
Perfect. Back to the deep dive. The definition in the text is simple. Finish. The example, that WR app things, UP, so we'll end this meeting. But again, let's play devil's advocate here. Why not just say finish? That finishes the meeting.
Because finish is binary. It just means stop. The car stopped. The rain finished. Wrap up carries the metaphor of a package. When you wrap a gift, what do?
I cover it, I put paper around it, I tape it.
You contain it. You secure the loose ends. You make it tidy. So when you wrap up a meeting or a project, you aren't just walking out of the room. You are summarizing the points. You are agreeing on the next steps. You're putting a metaphorical bow on the conversation.
That is a crucial distinction. If a meeting just ends, it feels abrupt. If you wrap it up, it feels satisfying, it feels complete.
Precisely. And the source text points out a double meaning here that is actually the exact same logic. Wrap up also means dress warmly. The text says, wrap UP carefully or you'll catch your death of cold.
Right, putting on a scarf and a big winter coat.
It is the same image. You are enclosing yourself. You are securing yourself against the elements. Just like you secure a meeting against confusion, it is about containment and completion.
I love that. One verb, two contexts, one underlying logic. Okay, before we leave the productivity stack, there are two phrases from the focus list that fit perfectly into this office scenario. We have circle back and keep posted.
The darlings of corporate email.
Let's start with circle back, and let's do our A1 teaching method for this one. The phrasal verb we will study now is circle back.
To circle back means to talk about something later. You stop now and you talk again tomorrow.
I don't know the answer to this question.
But that's okay. We can circle back to it later.
Good. I will read my book, and we will circle back on Friday.
Yes, we will circle back and find the answer then.
So circle back means to wait and talk about a problem at a later time.
Right. You return to the topic.
Okay, diving deeper now. The source defines it simply, but let's look at the geometry. Why do we say, let's circle back to this later?
Think about a hiking trail or a physical journey. If you encounter an obstacle you can't solve right now, or a point of interest you just don't have time for, you leave it. But you promise to return. You are drawing a circle in your path. We will go forward, but the path will curve around and return to this exact point.
It is a delay tactic, isn't it?
Often, yes. In business, it is a polite way of saying, I don't want to talk about this right now, but I acknowledge it is important. So we say, let's circle back to that next week. It sounds proactive, even though it is actually a postponement.
And then we have keep posted. I'll keep you posted. Let's do our A1 breakdown. The phrasal verb we will study now is keep posted.
To keep posted means to give someone new news. You tell them what is happening.
Is the train coming?
I don't know yet. I will keep you posted.
Please call me and keep me posted.
I will keep you posted when I see the train.
So keep posted means to share new information when you get it.
Yes, you keep telling them the news.
Returning to our deep dive analysis, where does keep posted come from?
This comes from the old days of physical posts. Wooden posts in a town square where paper notices were nailed up. If you posted a notice, everyone can see the news. So if I keep you posted, I am promising to act like that physical notice board. I will make sure the new information is displayed for you as soon as it arrives.
So it means keep you informed.
Yes, but keep you posted implies a continuous stream of updates as they happen. Update me might be a one-time request. Keep me posted implies as things change, let me know.
Excellent. So we have hammered out the deal, knuckled down, beavered away, wrapped up the meeting, and promised to keep everyone posted. That is a very full day's work.
A very productive day indeed.
But now I want to shift gears. We are going to look at a single verb that is a master of disguise. This is segment 2, the chameleon verb.
The chameleon.
Yes. The verb that changes its color completely, depending on the context. You think you know it, and then it shifts. The specific case study from our source list today is the verb go through.
Oh, go through is a heavy hitter. It is incredibly versatile.
It is our final focus verb for the A1 students today. Let's break it down simply. The phrasal verb we will study now is go through.
To go through means to look at many things, one by one, or to have a hard time.
I lost my keys.
Did you go through your bag?
I will go through my bag now. I will look at everything.
Good. Go through all your pockets, too.
So go through means to look inside and check everything.
Right. You check piece by piece.
Perfect. Now for the deep dive. I went through the list, pun intended, and I found at least 5 distinct definitions for go through in this single document. Let's unpack them because this is where learners really get tripped up. Definition number 1 is experience. The example is, you wouldn't believe what I went through when I was ill.
Right. Enduring difficulty. You are moving through a tunnel of suffering.
Definition number 2 is review. Example, I went through my notes before the exam.
Here, your eyes are moving through the text. You are processing information from start to finish.
Definition number 3 is search. Example, I went through my desk looking for the letter.
Now you are physically rummaging. Your hands are going through the papers.
Definition number 4 is process or official procedure. Example, you must go through the proper channels.
Following a path, a bureaucratic tunnel, if you will.
And finally, definition number 5 is consumption. Example, we went through a fortune on our holiday.
Spending money. Using it up until you come out the other side with absolutely nothing.
It is wild. We have suffering, reading, searching, bureaucracy, and spending money, all from go through. How does a listener keep this straight? It just feels random.
It feels random, but it isn't. This is where we need to look at the cognitive linguistics, the mental picture. The preposition is through. What does through mean physically?
It means entering something on one side, traversing it, and exiting on the other, like a tunnel.
Exactly, a tunnel. Now, apply that tunnel metaphor to every single one of those examples.
Okay, let's try. Going through an illness.
The illness is the tunnel. It is dark. It is unpleasant. It surrounds you. You
Wow.
enter it when you get sick, and you go through it to get well on the other side.
Going through my notes.
The notes are the tunnel. You start at page 1, which is the entrance, and you read until the end, the exit. You traverse the information.
Going through my desk.
The mess is the tunnel, the pile of papers. You have to navigate through the density of the mess to find what you want.
Going through a fortune, meaning spending money.
The pile of money is the tunnel. You start with a lot, you move through the act of spending, and you come out the other side, usually broke.
That is actually brilliant. It connects them all. The common denominator is movement from entry to exit across a medium.
Exactly. Whether that medium is money, paper, illness, or bureaucracy, you are going through it. If you hold that image in your head, you don't need to memorize 5 definitions. You just need to understand the geometry of through.
That is the aha moment right there. It turns a list into a concept. And just to mention, the source also lists get through, which has a similar vibe. Get through an exam means succeed. Get through a bottle of wine means consume. Get through to someone means contact.
It is that same idea of overcoming a barrier.
Yeah.
Getting through implies the barrier was difficult. Going through is more neutral. It just describes the journey.
Okay, speaking of barriers and difficulty, let's move to our next stack. Things are about to get heated. This is segment 3, the conflict and resolution stack.
The drama section. This is always the most interesting part of language.
The source material is full of words that describe fighting, arguing, and hopefully making up. I want to construct a little scene here. Let's imagine 2 colleagues. Let's call them Gary and Linda. They are working on that project we hammered out earlier, but things are going wrong, the pressure is on.
Okay, set the scene.
Gary is stressed. Someone asks him a simple question and he snaps. The source gives us the verb lash out.
Lash out.
Definition, suddenly become violent or react angrily. Example, he lashed out and broke the man's nose. Or metaphorically, he lashes out when things don't go his way.
This is uncontrolled. It is sudden. Think of the origin, a whip. A lash. It snaps forward instantly. It is not a calculated attack. It is a reflex. Gary isn't planning to be mean. He just snaps. He lashes out.
So Gary lashes out at Linda. Now Linda is mad. She stands up. They are now standing nose to nose. The source gives us face off.
Face off.
Definition, confront. Example, the company faced off the competition.
This comes directly from sports, specifically ice hockey, the face-off. It is the moment before the action starts. The puck is about to drop. The tension is maximum. You are looking the other person in the eye. You aren't fighting yet, but you are facing off.
The tension is building. The whole office is watching. And then blow up.
Boom.
Definition, lose your temper, become angry. Example, they BLUWP when they heard what I had done wrong.
This is the explosion. The pressure cooker has burst. Lashing out is a quick strike like a snake or a whip. Blowing up is a total loss of containment. Shouting, screaming, maybe throwing files. The container can no longer hold the emotion.
So Gary is blown up. It is a massive scene. Now, how do we de-escalate? The source gives us a few options for ending the fight, and they have very different flavors. We have back down and cave in.
These are crucial distinctions.
Back down is defined as retract or withdraw your position. Example, she refused to back down and was fired.
This is directioner. You are physically or metaphorically stepping backward. You are saying, okay, I am retreating, but, and this is important, you might still think you are right. You are just choosing to stop the fight. It preserves some dignity. It is a tactical withdrawal.
Compare that to cave in. Definition, stop resisting or refusing. Example, the government has refused to cave in despite the protests.
Think of the imagery. A cave-in. A mine shaft collapsing, a roof falling down. The structure fails. If you cave in during an argument, your resistance collapses completely. You say, fine, whatever you want, I will do it. It is a total surrender. It feels weak.
So if Gary backs down, he steps away. If Gary caves in, he gives Linda everything she wants.
Exactly.
And what if we just need everyone to be quiet? The text lists simmer down.
Simmer down. Become calmer. He told him to simmer down.
I love this one. It is cooking imagery again.
It is. If a pot is boiling over, it is throwing up, what do? You turn the heat down, you let it simmer. It is still hot, maybe, but it is not exploding. It is controlled heat. Telling someone to simmer down is telling them to lower their emotional temperature. Okay, everyone, let's just simmer down.
So the fight is over. They have simmered down. Now they want to save their working relationship. They use patch up.
Yeah, Tara.
Definition, fix or make things better. Example, I tried to patsy things UP after the argument.
Like patching a tire or patching a pair of jeans. There was a hole, a tear in the relationship caused by the blowing up, and now you were putting a patch over it. It implies effort. It implies that the relationship was damaged. It might not be perfect. A patch is visible, but it is functional again.
I love that narrative arc. You can see the whole story just through the phrasal verbs. Lashing out, facing off, blowing up, backing down, simmering down, patching up. It really shows how these verbs carry the emotional weight of the story.
Absolutely. If you just said they argued and then apologized, you lose all the texture. You lose the explosion, the heat, and the repair work.
Now let's shift gears completely. We are moving from the drama of conflict to the color of personality. This is segment 4, the social and slang stack.
This is where things get really fun.
The source material contains some very colorful, often informal, and I suspect quite British or Australian verbs. These add so much flavor, but you have to be careful with them.
Yes, context is key. These are pub words, not boardroom words.
Let's start with one of my favorites to say. It just feels satisfying. Faff about, or faff around.
Faff about.
The definition is behave indecisively. Example, he told her to stop faffing about and make her mind up.
Faffing, it sounds like what it is. It sounds soft, unfocused, fluttery.
It does.
If you are faffing about, you aren't doing nothing, exactly. You are busy doing nothing important. You are moving papers, you are checking your phone, you are walking in circles, you are dithering. It is a great word for wasting time in a fussy, nervous way.
It is the enemy of knuckling down.
Precisely. You cannot knuckle down if you are faffing about.
Now contrast that with another way of wasting time. Swan about or swan around.
Oh, this is vivid.
Definition, move in a dramatic or affected manner. Example, he swanned about at the party.
Picture a swan.
Okay, white feathers, long neck.
Gliding on the water, looking very regal, looking down its beak at everything else, maybe a bit arrogant.
If a person is swanning about, they are walking through a room, acting like they own the place. They are moving casually, perhaps while everyone else is working. It implies a sense of self-importance and leisure. Look at him, swanning about while we are all beavering away.
Oh, nice combination. He is swanning about. We are beavering away. That captures the resentment perfectly. Faffing is nervous and useless. Swanning is arrogant and useless.
Exactly.
Okay, what about when we are relaxing and eating? The text gives us pig out.
Pig out. Very common.
Definition, eat a lot. Example, the food was great, so I really pigged out.
No hidden meaning here. It is literal animal imagery. Eating like a pig. Gluttony. Indulgence. But I want to note the tone here. It is usually used affectionately or self-deprecatingly.
Right. You say it about yourself. I pigged out last night.
You probably wouldn't look at your boss at a dinner and say, wow, you were really picking out, sir. That would be career limited.
Very unless you want to moggy off.
Moggy off.
That is the next one. We have a couple of verbs for leaving or dismissing someone, and I feel like we need a major disclaimer here. These can be rude. The text lists moggy off and naff off.
Right. Proceed with caution.
Moggy off is defined as leave. Example, we moggied off early. Naff off is defined as get lost. Example, I told him to naff-o off.
Moggy off sounds a bit more playful, maybe regional slang. Moggy is slang for a cat, isn't it? So maybe slinking away like a cat.
Possible, but naff off, that is a euphemism.
It is. It is a polite way of saying something much, much ruder that starts with F.
It is a sanitized version.
Exactly. It is dismissive. If you tell someone to naff off, you are telling them to go away because they are annoying you. It is not something you say to a stranger unless you want to fight.
Definitely not. Let's end the social stack on a positive note. Hit it off.
Hit it off.
Definition, have a good relationship from the first time you meet. Example, we HIT-ITOF immediately.
This is that spark. Two things striking together like flint and steel and creating a connection. It implies instant chemistry. You don't work at hitting it off. It just happens.
I love that. It is that click. Okay, I want to take a step back now. We have looked at specific verbs, but I want to look at the mechanics again. This is segment 5, the up and down
Oh,
paradox.
particles. This is where the logic lives or dies.
Or the lack of logic. Because sometimes up and down seem to do very strange things. Let's look at the up pattern first. The text has drink up, eat up, dry up.
Right.
Drink up means finish a drink. Eat up means eat all of something. Dry up means dry completely.
So here, up functions as a completion marker.
Completion.
Yes. Think of a glass. You can drink from it, take a sip. But if I say drink up, I mean finish it. Go to the limit. The cup must be empty. If something dries up, it is completely dry. There is no water left.
Yeah,
Up takes the action to its absolute conclusion. It maximizes the verb.
that makes sense. It is filling the glass to the top or finishing it to the bottom. It is the limit.
Exactly. It can also mean an increase, which is intuitive. The text lists prices up, meaning increase the price, or talk up, make something appear more important, increasing the value,
Okay, so up is completion or increase. So down must be the opposite. Right.
in theory.
The text gives us play down, try to make something seem less important. Tone down, make something sound more moderate. That fits. It is reduction.
Yes, reduction or suppression.
But then we have write down, note down, take down.
Ah, the recording aspect of down.
Why is writing down?
Think of the paper. It is usually on a desk below you. You are transferring a thought from your head down onto the paper. You are pinning it down, fixing it in reality. If you write it down, it is captured.
Okay, I will buy that. But here is the paradox that drives me crazy, and it is right there in the text. We have calm down,
Stop being angry.
and we have simmer down.
Become calmer.
So down acts as a suppressor. You are high energy, you go down to low energy.
Correct.
But wait, looking at the up list, we have cheer up. Cheer up means become happier. So if I am sad, low energy, I go up to happy. But if I am angry, high energy, I go down to calm.
That is the emotional geometry of English. It views emotions on a vertical scale. Sadness is down. I am feeling down. I am depressed, which literally means pressed down. So to fix sadness, you must go up. You must cheer up.
Okay.
But anger is high. It is heat. Heat rises, you blow up. So to fix anger, you must go down. You must calm down. You are always trying to return to the neutral middle.
That is actually consistent. I never thought of it that way. You cheer up from the bottom and you calm down from the top.
Exactly. You are correcting the deviation.
And what about burn? The text has burn down and burn up.
The classic paradox.
Burn down means burn completely. Example, the hotel burnt down.
Yes.
Burn up means destroy completely by fire. Example, the rocket burnt up.
Both mean destroy. But look at the object. A building stands on the ground. When it is destroyed, it falls down to the earth. So a house burns down. But a rocket or a piece of paper, when they burn, they turn into smoke and ash. They rise into the air. They disappear up into the atmosphere. So they burn up.
So the house collapses down, but the paper vanishes up.
That is the theory. It is about the direction of the debris.
That is fascinating. It is not random, it is physics. Okay, let's bring it back to the real world for our final specific stack. We have done productivity, we have done fighting, we have done partying, we have done physics. Now we need to go back to the boardroom. This is segment 6, business and corporate speak.
The language of the office.
If you want to sound professional, you need these verbs. The text is full of them. Let's start with run by or run past.
Run by.
We use this all the time. I need to run this by you.
It implies a quick check. You aren't asking for a deep philosophical debate. You're metaphorically running past someone, holding up an idea, and asking, is this okay? It suggests efficiency and speed. Can I just run this idea by you?
And checking for approval. What about fill in?
Now, be careful with this one.
The text says fill in means substitute someone at work. Like she's just had a baby, so we have hired someone to fill in for her.
Right. You are filling the empty space left by that person, like spackle on a wall.
But there is a variation, fill in on.
Yes. Could you fill me IN on N? What happened?
This means give someone information.
Think of the person as having a gap in their knowledge, a hole where the information should be. You are pouring facts into that hole. You are filling them in.
That is a great visual. I have a gap, you fill it. Okay, next one, weigh in.
Weigh in.
The source text actually defines this as have a certain weight in sports, like a boxer weighing in before a fight.
Which is the literal origin.
But in business, we use it to mean giving an opinion. I'd like to weigh in on this.
It keeps that boxing metaphor, though.
Yeah.
If you weigh in on a discussion, you are throwing your weight into the argument. You aren't just commenting. You are adding your influence, your weight, to one side of the scale. It implies impact.
So you don't weigh in with a trivial comment, you weigh in on the big decisions.
Exactly.
Next one, zero in on.
Zero in on.
Definition, direct or focus attention on. Example, the police have zeroed in on the man. Or, in business, we need to zero in on this market segment.
This is targeting imagery. Think of a sniper scope or a camera lens. You are adjusting the dial to 0. You are narrowing your field of view until only the target is visible. It implies extreme focus, eliminating distractions.
It sounds precise. We need to look at this as weak. We need to zero in on this as strong.
It implies action and precision.
And finally, the end of the workday. We have sign off and sign on.
Digital phrasal verbs.
The text lists sign on as agree to participate, like signing a contract, but also sign on to a computer system and sign out to close a program.
It is the modern version of punching the clock. It marks the official boundary of your participation.
So we have covered a lot of ground today. We have gone from hammering out agreements to swanning about at parties. We have blown up and simmered down.
It has been a journey.
What is the big takeaway here? For the listener who is feeling a bit snowed under, another one from the list with all this information.
The takeaway is that phrasal verbs are not random. They are the Lego bricks of English. You take a simple action like go, get, take, put, and you click a little particle onto it like up, down, in, out, and you build a specific, nuanced reality.
They transform the generic into the specific.
Exactly. He left the room as a fact. He stormed out as a story. He swanned out as a comedy. She sneaked out as a mystery. The verb plus particle gives you the emotion and the visual.
I love that. He left as black and white. He stormed out as technicolor.
And my final thought for you, the listener, is this. Start looking for the particles. Don't just learn the verb. Ask yourself, why up, why down, why through? Once you start asking that, the logic starts to appear.
That is great advice. Well, we are going to wrap things up here. We hope you pick up some new skills from this deep dive.
And don't be afraid to dip into the list whenever you can. You don't have to learn them all at once.
Exactly. Thanks for listening to the deep dive. We will catch you on the next one.